Okay, so while we are still on this topic that is related to the completing of the squares, I would like to just quickly, very quickly, take you through a revision of um, the solving of the quadratic equations. Maybe let me not waste time and say solve each of the following equations. You know how an equation looks like most. It has an equal sign. And we have two types of equations. It could be a linear equation. It could be a quadratic equation. So the moment we have something of this nature be x squared, that you plus it by 5x, maybe this is equated to 6. We do know very well that this is an equation because we see an equal sign. Type of an equation, a quadratic equation, because we see that the highest degree is 2. So for that reason, we will need to rewrite it in this format where we have it as x squared plus 5x, taking 6 to the other side, it becomes that, so that is equals to 0. Why would we do this? It's so that we can factorize this. Then as we factorize it, we are going to be having our x there, and then two numbers of which when multiplied together can give us that 6, and also they can be manipulated in order to give us that 5. So definitely when you say 6 and 5, it works out because the bigger number takes the sign of the middle term being a plus there. So for us to end up having a negative 6 there, that's if we put a minus there. So you see, now it becomes easier because you will say that and that equals to 0, or you can take that x minus 1 equal. So here you solve. Definitely, this should be an easy thing to do, and that becomes the end of it. Maybe let me be fair and add more examples and say, if maybe you are given something of this nature. So again, it is a quadratic equation, even though we don't have a constant. For that reason, you will therefore rewrite it in this format, whereby you equate it to 0. This one is not that much complicated because you have x. Why not take it out as a common factor? And then you end up having this, whereby now that x you can equate it to 0, or that x minus 4, you therefore equate it to 0, and then your x will therefore be equals to positive 4. And that becomes the end of it. So maybe let me add another one. I'm just hoping that it will worth it for me to add some more. Okay, so maybe let me think of something different. Okay, it's fine. Let's say as a problem C, a negative 4x squared, which is equals to 10x, whereby we minus 6 there. Yes, this is an equation, a type of equation, a quadratic equation. Therefore, it might be best to therefore rewrite it in this format, whereby we will therefore equate it to 0. I think maybe let's divide everything by -2, just so that at least we are going to be having a positive coefficient. So whatever that you do on the left, so definitely this one we end up having positive 2x. And again, here we end up having a positive 5x, and that one, it will definitely give us -3, and that should be equated to that 0 over there. Okay, again, you will definitely need to factorize this one. But for today, or for now, because I'm not necessarily teaching you how to factorize, I will therefore straight away and say this one, when you factorize it, it will definitely end up giving you 2x there, and then you're having that for you to have the 3 and 1. That's if you are having that 1 and 3 there, whereby always the bigger number takes the sign of the middle term, definitely to end up having -3. That's if that one is a negative there. So this is how you would factorize it. Trust me when I say the factorization part, it is a bit tricky, but it's something that you need to master. And on a separate lesson, might need to do one where you easily know how to factorize. So now let's see. Obviously, this one, you will therefore equate it to 0, and then you can do the OR and say that x plus 3 equals to 0. This one, you can easily work it out. It ends there. And then this one, obviously, you take the 1 to the other side, you divide both sides by 2, you end up having a 1 over 2 there as your final answer. So maybe let me add 2 more, and then I think I'm going to take this as that being the D. Maybe let's say you were given that x squared, which is equals to 25. You've got 2 ways in which you can work it out. This one, I think the first way is where you can take this to the other side. Oh no, it has disappeared. Definitely disappeared, but it's fine. I'll just add a blank page there and then restart that part. So I think there it was problem D, where I think it was x squared, which was equals to 25, where I said you can take this 25 to this side, and then from there you can just have x there, obviously a plus 5 there and a minus 5 there, whereby x can therefore easily be equals to a -5, or your x being equals to +5. Remember, is this equated to 0, that equated to 0. So in the end, you can see that your x is equals to plus or minus a 5. You have your x as negative and also as a positive. So this is the first way to work it out. Otherwise, the other way in which you can work it out, it is as simple as just square rooting both sides. That's how you remove that squared. And then after that being removed, you end up having square root of 25, which then gives you plus or minus 5. This being another way in which you can work it out. Maybe let me give you one more problem. Why am I doing that? It's so that when we get to solving this type of equations, but this time around we are going to be specific and say by completing the squares. At least you've got an idea of where we are coming from and where we are headed to. But the most important part is for you to just be able to complete the square. And then after you complete the square, remember you will be having an equal sign. Then it's just a matter of you just solving, because on the previous lessons, we were completing the square of an expression, not of an equation. So those are the differences. So now, maybe the last one being a, let's say you are having x squared, which is equals to 5. Again, it shouldn't be a complicated thing to do, because you can just square root both sides. With you doing that, that's how you remove that squared, and then you end up having your x, which is equals to square root of 5. And that, exactly that, it should be the end of it. So now let us have x squared, which is equals to negative 5. Wait, I forgot something, honorable member, very much important. The moment you square root that to remove that squared, when you square the other side, your final answer should be a plus or minus. You don't just write it as a square root of that. You write it as a plus or minus. So, okay, with this one, where you are having x squared, which is equals to that negative 5. So this one, you can square root both sides, and then that's how you remove that square root over there. That means you should be having plus or minus square root of -5. So for this one, we don't have, it's a non-real solution. Non-real solution, because you cannot have a square root of inside having a negative thing over there. Very, very much important on that one, honorable member. So I think what I'm going to do before I take you through the solving by completing the square. Let me first train you on this type of problems. Then from there, we will see how far we can go. And thereafter, we will start with the solving quadratic equations by completing the square. Very, very much important on that one. Honorable member and the members who are honorable. So now, I think I'll leave it here and perhaps say until we meet. Oh.